Daily Drama Podcast with Steve in Bradford, presented by dailydrama.com. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Bradford, how are you?
Good. Dailydrama.com is your one-stop shop for the soap opera viewer. Recaps, spoilers, stories, insight, behind the scenes, a lot of Steve. So
What? Not really, but a lot of cool guests.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So we're delighted today to be joined by, well, you know him as Nikolas Cassadine right now. It's Adam HUSS. Hey, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Of course,
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Who's that pretty lady behind you?
Oh, that's from Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, that's awesome. Dude.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
amazing.
I'm a big horror guy, and so
Yeah.
hence the wall. Yeah.
Are you? What's your favorite horror series or movie?
You know, I love classic, like Evil Dead is my favorite,
Yeah.
but I'm big into Scream too.
Really?
I mean, Evil Dead's
Yeah,
like
the first one.
camp. All
Yeah.
horror's camp, I guess, but Evil
Oh,
Dead
yeah,
especially, right?
Sure.
Yeah, just that like dark comedy, like Bruce Campbell.
Sure.
It's my
Have
I
you-
love it.
Have you ever done a horror movie?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think when you start out as an actor, a lot of those indie horrors come your way.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I did a bunch that are buried somewhere, but
And
yeah,
should remain buried, probably, right?
yes, probably. I think so. Maybe one or two. All right, but I'm also producing some horror stuff. So
Are you?
nice.
That's cool.
yeah,
Right
it's like
on.
the last couple of years. So
All right.
So
well,
is it a series or is it individual, like one-off
It's
horror
mo-
movies? Or
it's movies. Yeah, it's movies. I wrote
That's
one,
cool.
and then yeah, kind of different genres too. But there's two horror ones right now that have some legs. So one's
Cool.
werewolf.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So writing's another part of the creative instrument.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I did it before the pandemic, but I was on a show called Power in New York, and I was like a series regular, but used once every 2 weeks.
oh boy.
And so I just was writing a lot. And then
Yeah.
that skill got better. And then during the pandemic, I'm like, I think I'm just going to really hone this because I've got nothing else going on.
Sure. Totally.
Well,
yeah.
it's funny because we always talk about it, and going back, you've been acting for a while.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so going back, it was always if we could have the writing gene back then, you're writing your own ticket to some degree, right?
Yeah.
And you're not always waiting for the door, the phone to ring for the acting part, but you see all these guys who made it, they made it by writing,
well, but
Yep.
us old
Yep.
guys, I don't know exactly how old you are, Adam, but I imagine you're, of the same
Adam's
age range that we are.
46. What are you,
Yeah.
46?
46. Yeah.
When
March
we were-
1st, I'll be 47.
Well, when we were training 20 some years ago, that wasn't part of the game.
No, you did.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. You had one focus, right. You knew
Yes.
writers, there was directors, producers, you're
Yeah.
you're an actor. That's all you do.
Right.
And then you got here and there was all that. There was a bunch of different strikes before this last one, right? And a lot of
Right,
things, and people
sure.
are like, "Oh, you got to make your own stuff." No one
Yeah.
tells you that making your own stuff is actually just as hard. as,
Yeah.
as-
Well, and there's
Yeah.
less, I don't know, what I loved about coming up through theater and respecting each other's, skills, and, you go to, like, what do they say, jack of all trades, master of none, right?
yes,
Like,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
you respected the people that went to school for writing, that went to school for
Yeah.
directing, that went to school, and then we collaborate and create something great because we're all, in theory, really good at this one thing. So let's combine our skills and create something. Now you have to do freaking everything.
Yeah, and that phrase, goes through my head a lot because when you have imposter syndrome about, that happens with any job, right?
Right.
And
Sure.
you can have imposter syndrome about being an actor. You can have, and then all of a sudden you're doing all these other things, dipping your toe. And this business tends to look at people as like one thing, right?
Right.
Sometimes if you're a waiter, you're just a waiter to them. That's how horrible it can be. But like to say you're an actor, writer, producer is a brave thing when they're like, you're just you're an actor, you're not a writer. And I have to get rid of that thought process and be
Of
like, well, it's
course.
just a different game now,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man, being an actor helps me be a better writer because everything I write is like I get to act out or sit here and do that in the voice
Right.
of
You say it out loud and you're like, wow, that's really hard. That doesn't sound
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's terrible. Delete days worth of work.
Speaking of like thinking about, how to make the words sound their best, daytime, we say so many words that we have an opportunity to really do that. So now you've been on GH now for how long? I know it's been kind of sporadic, but how long has the journey been?
Yeah, it's been I gotta think about this. Yeah, it's been since 2020 2022, I'd say
Okay.
officially is when I started filling in for Marcus Coloma, who
Yeah.
played Nikolas Cassadine originally. But I did test for this role
Oh,
when he did, and
sure.
before a year before that, I tested for a different role for a cult leader, and
Nice.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
For
Shiloh.
yeah,
Shiloh. That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
you guys know Mark Teschner, obviously, he's amazing,
Right.
Sure. Of course. Yeah.
such an actor's champion, and
That's
Yeah.
so
a
He's
he
great
was
term.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Great way
just
to
a great
describe him.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he really had my back, and I major props to him. And and I think Frank too, Valentini took interest in me and was like telling Mark like I like him. We'll keep him in mind for stuff. And
Yeah.
then this role came up, and I got the sides, and I growing up being a fan of pop culture, everything TV, film, I knew of the characters in General Hospital. I knew of you guys. I didn't watch consistently, but I knew who everybody was. And so when I
Interesting. I don't
read
think
the
of us as
side,
part of pop culture anymore.
oh yeah, you
Well,
are.
you're definitely not.
No. I just mean like like you're not like you're not skimming People Magazine or entertainment and seeing daytime people that much. So
Not anymore. I mean, but there was a time, obviously, like you're at the grocery
Yeah.
store, you see all the soap opera magazines. It wasn't just
Yes.
one, right? So you see people's faces. Like we've done podcasts with people that we've never really met, but I would see their faces on the soap magazines
right
all the
Yeah,
time at the
man.
grocery store.
next to the
That-
So-
Tic Tacs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, buddy.
but that's what it was. Your mom is checking out, and I'm looking at all these pretty people. Like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. This is cool. I
Yeah.
want to be in here.
Yeah.
And I
So
think you weren't you in like Teen Beat, Steve? Weren't you in those
yep,
magazines?
I was. I was
I
Teen
remember
Beat,
all
Tiger
that.
Beat, all that stuff. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah,
I had
for
a
sure.
major crush on Tiffany Amber Thiessen back in the day when she was on Saved by the Bell. Yeah, she's 50 today, by the way.
Congratulations.
Like, mind blown.
Yeah, right.
Wow, I
Yeah.
know, right?
Zoinks.
Hey,
But I
look, we're
was like-
still here. We're still here. We're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
here.
Wow.
But I would look in there and be like, whoa, and
Yeah.
then I'd see you a lot. Yeah, but growing up, I just knew who these characters were. So, and especially Nikolas Cassadine, for some reason, that love triangle with Elizabeth and Lucky was always like on the cover.
Mm.
So when I read the
Yeah, it was,
sides, and when I read the sides, I knew. I kind of was like, I think this is Nikolas Cassadine that I'm testing for. Holy,
Yeah.
sorry, holy crap.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I started watching a couple YouTube clips, but as Mark will tell you, and your interview with Kate Mancini, same thing. Like, you make it your own. Don't worry about what the actor before you is doing.
Yeah.
So, but it was important for me to have a little bit of that backstory.
Sure.
And so I tested, and I didn't get it. Marcus did get it, but Mark let me know, like, you did great. You have fans here. We're thinking about you for something else. Pandemic hit, that something else went away.
Sure.
And then the craziest feeling was, like, as an actor, there's so much uncertainty, but sometimes you get these instincts, and I just felt it wasn't over. But of course I respected that Marcus Coloma got the job and he did a great job. But then all of a sudden I got called in to understudy him a couple times, which I didn't know I only thought that was a theater thing as well. And then I realized, oh, they're doing this more because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I filled in for him.
That's an interesting way to put it, though, because I never even thought of it that way until you said that.
Yeah.
Because, being on days and then GH, obviously, the show always has to go on. So they're always replacing someone, even if it's for a day or 2 days or a week or whatever it is. But it is essentially an understudy, which is kind of an interesting.
Well, yeah, especially,
correlation.
especially if you're available to do it multiple times if the need arises too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did train in theater. So I had that, that, like, knowing the lines and coming on for somebody else and having that pressure. So yeah, the first day, of course, there's that major pressure, but I worked with Maura West, and she was great. And I worked with Ken Schreiner, and they were just, and Kid is like, he's so great. And he's so unpredictable that made me comfortable in a way, because I was like, oh, anything, like, you can just play and do anything.
It's so funny. Just hold on with the kid thing, because I texted him yesterday. I go, hey, will you be on our podcast again? He goes, I've already said everything I need to say. I'm like, okay, thanks, buddy. That was it. Like, that was it.
Wow.
That was the exchange. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
But
but working with someone like that makes you have to be present because you don't know what's going to happen. You have to listen. You have to be, and so I feel like it kind of shocks you into being the most present version of yourself. Like, you do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, the combination between Kin and Mora, they're on different spectrums of
Yep.
probably preparation and how they view things. And Mora is always so prepared. And to have that there going, oh, this chick knows everything. We're good. And then you have Kin going, oh, you better get ready for this, playing some ping pong over here.
Right.
You know? So that's cool, man.
Kept me on my toes. Exactly. It was a nice combination to start with them. Maybe they knew what they were doing. I don't know, but it was just like very smart to start with them.
Right.
And I had tested with Mora, and so she remembered, and we had a good rapport off the bat, which helped a lot. And it was a big episode. I like revealed that Sonny was, you know, alive because he was missing for all these times.
You got the reveal? I didn't even know that.
So it was very interesting. And by the way,
big news. Big news.
When we were taping, we're in this middle of this, you know, all this heavy stuff, and I'm like, and Sonny's dead. Like, I just said dead. I don't know why. Instead of alive. Like, Sonny's dead. And Maura looked at me and just busted, you know, busted out hysterical. And it broke the ice, you know, because I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, honey, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. We've been playing the storyline for like, you know, a year or two, and you're like, Sonny's dead.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
So when you ended up taking over full time.
Yes. Yep.
Because you said you were on the series Power for, I mean, you did a ton of episodes over there, right?
Yeah, I did a couple of years on that show. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's obviously a different way of life on a soap opera, and it is a primetime show like that.
Oh yeah.
So how was it for you? Did you already know kind of what to expect with the material, the amount of material, and how fast it goes because you were able to understudy for a few times? Did you know really what to expect?
I think the understudying definitely helped. It's a different animal. You're right. It is a different animal from anything you've done, you know, TV or film. But I did do a lot of Lifetime movies after the Power, a lot of those sort of, you know, 2-week shoots. So that pace helped. Learning, being the lead of a feature film and learning these, you know, 96-page scripts. That helped.
Sure.
So on that day when I was about to step on and do, like, I think it was 4-episode chunk, it was like I had that imposter syndrome nerve, and then I was like, you just played the lead in this crazy ass, you know, Lifetime movie.
Sure.
You're fine. You can do this.
Well,
now
and I saw
this girl locked in a tower. You can do this.
I saw that you had done a few episodes of B&B. Is that accurate?
It is. Yeah, that was one of my first gigs. Kimberly Brown was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she killed me. I got this like great summer arc, and I was this guy, like this real doofy guy from New York who's like here to have a good time with his buddy, and he's allergic to bees. We established that from the beginning,
right?
And then so Sheila winds up manipulating my character Lance, and I do all this crazy stuff to some of the regulars, and then she kills me
with bees.
With bees,
amazing.
Because
of course,
she knows I'm allergic to bees. I'm eating a peanut butter and honey sandwich that's dripping all over me. I go to sleep, and then she puts bees in the room, and she's like in a beekeeper outfit and like literally sticks the hose in the window.
That's funny. That's amazing.
It's one of the most craziest deaths I've ever experienced. In, you know,
did you have like did they just assume like they play like did they just play a sound effect and do like, because I mean, how did they shoot that?
No, they used real live bees, and yeah, and they had a closed stage. They built the stage to be closed somehow, like you know, close it up. Yep. And they hired this guy who was, and at the time, I think I was in my 20s. So this guy was like, you know, older, like probably pushing 60. And he was the only bee wrangler in town who was my double. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So
wait, your double was the bee? Like they not only was he the bee wrangler, but he also was your double?
Yes, no shade to B&B, but it wasn't the best decision, you know, like, because, you know, my brother watched it, and he always razzes me, and he's like, Adam, what? He's like, this, all of a sudden it's you know, this fit guy and like this tank top, and then you get this 60-year-old
in like a dark black wig or something.
Yeah, and he was
That's
like
amazing.
Door trying to get out, but he wasn't an actor, so it was really like
oh boy.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
very,
Yeah.
very funny.
Did
Very
you guys
funny.
make
Very
it on the
That's very
funny.
Soup or
funny.
something? Remember when they used to
You
like
know
back
what?
when Joel McHale used to make fun of us back in the day?
Yeah, I am sure it
Yeah.
was on there. And recently, last year, it popped up because Kimberly Sheila went to jail for killing
Ah.
someone, and it was Lance Day. But I didn't even know how to last name.
There you go.
So
Oh,
Good
all of
job,
a sudden, it was
Lance.
all
wait a
these.
second. She got taken to task for your murder 20 years later?
Yep, and it was all these like it was other things she had done, but that was one of the main ones, and this big
Yeah.
flashback, and yeah,
That's
You
awesome.
finally got justice. Well done,
I
bud.
finally
There you
got
go.
justice. Pretty
Um,
funny.
well, we mentioned it before we started recording, but you're from back east, right? You're from New York?
Yeah, I'm
Whereabouts?
from New York, from Islip, Long Island.
No
And
kidding.
That's a great
yeah,
airport. I love that airport.
where are you guys from?
Well, I'm from the Northeast. I went to school in New York, and for a while I was dating
Okay.
someone in the South that Southwest flew to. So like
Yes.
back in the like around 2000, Southwest didn't fly out of the major airports. They only flew out of Islip.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I would take the train to Ronkonkoma and go to Islip. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
funny. Yeah.
Ronkonkoma. I got family there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
That's amazing.
It's-
Yeah. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I
So
spent a
yeah.
lot of time in New York and on the East Coast. So,
yeah. So
Yeah.
what was your childhood like? Were you into theater? Like how did you get into the arts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did theater. I mean, even in first grade, I was doing plays and all that. But like and there was musicals at our school, but not plays. So I did
Right.
the musicals, and I didn't know I could sing, but I guess I learned that I could, and did Bye Bye Birdie. I played like one of the leads in that, and that was it. Just that's where I really got bit by the bug. And again,
Sure.
as I told you, I was a pop culture guy. Like I watched TV. I mean, I had friends and stuff, but TV was my outlet to like, I dreamt
sure.
of all those shows. Like to me,
Of
were like, I
course.
want to be on this. And I grew up with great films like The Goonies and Indiana Jones,
Right.
like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You know,
Those
Adam,
movies stuck with me.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you make
No,
a great point, right? I don't know if kids today have the same point of view because we grew up, I'm 6 years older than you, but like the shows that you're saying, the movies that you're saying, it doesn't seem like there's that today, right? Like I wanted
somebody
to be on
might say they want to be
on
Iron Man, but like, what are they gonna?
yeah, but like I wanted to be on A Team and I wanted to be
yeah,
MacGyver and I wanted to
yeah.
be, the Fall
Battlestar
Guy and I wanted
Galactica, The Fall Guy. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty interesting because that was such a big part of our life, but
yeah,
it wasn't like a dominant part of that we didn't do other things. Now with technology and this stuff, kids are just right here on the iPad or the phone, but we still had to go outside and do stuff, but you still had that was a reprieve almost as opposed to it being so normal now,
Sure.
yep.
but
It's
I
so
love
true.
that point. I love that point you make because as soon as you start talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to be on all those shows. Like growing up, I wanted to be Dukes of Hazards and all this stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would literally take Dukes of Hazzard was the best. I had like all the
The
toys,
best.
but I had the best. But I would take scripts to like I had like 30 cousins because my dad is one of 9, and I'd go to these family parties. We'd go every weekend to someone's house, and I'd go with scripts and be like, I wrote a script of Saved by the Bell. I wrote a script of not like Dallas or something, but all like the Fall Guy.
Can you
Shows like
imagine?
Who shot JR?
Hello,
Written by Adam.
Hello, cousin. We're gonna do a scene.
Man, I know. If only iPhones were around back then.
Right.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, but we just did that in the backyard, and they knew like, up, cousin Adam is going to come and bring scripts, and someone's going to play so and so. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that was the love of it, right? And then
That's
you
cool.
you need training. So
Sure,
you
sure,
learn I need
sure.
training. So
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still trying to figure that
I was
out.
gonna say some people learn. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
well, hey, they tell some people
You either
don't
train
go.
or you go straight to LA and hope for the best.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Exactly. And some people say don't go to school because you got that natural thing, But no matter what, you got to read stuff. Whatever it is, if your
course.
training is watching great acting, that inspires
Sure.
me a lot.
Yeah.
Great
There's
films.
no
100%.
single way. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was the way you took?
So I did go to college, and I went to a SUNY school, which is upstate Binghamton.
Oh
But
yeah.
but my teacher, one of my teachers, was from Juilliard, and he got kicked out of Juilliard. And he would tell the story all the time, so he's proud of it. And he's passed since a couple of years ago. But his name was Gene Lesser, and he was just an amazing teacher. But he was a hard guy. He was not nice per se. I don't love that way of teaching, not be nice, but he was brutal. I mean, he basically was like, if you have an issue, get over it. Like, he made us wear like a one-piece leotards to Shakespeare class because he wanted, if you are uncomfortable in your body, go to the gym and get comfortable. If you're not, and that's, you feel good in that, great. But he wanted to make sure you were physically comfortable.
Interesting. That's one way to get some results.
Yeah,
wow.
It was interesting.
For sure.
For like 18-year-olds too.
Woo.
Yeah. It was,
right. Cause I mean, it's undergrad, right?
Now. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It would not fly now, you know,
Probably not.
But he taught me a lot. I mean, I was in fraternity. I was trying to find myself and be cool and all that other stuff. And he really said to me one day, he's like, hey, how come you haven't been to these body and voice classes? We're having all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't know about those. And he was the kind of teacher who'd go out with you. Like, he'd come out and he's like, what parties are going on this weekend? And I'm like, oh, we got this, we got this, we got this. He's like, you know about those though. And it just clicked to me, like, you know, if you're going to do this, you got to figure it out. You got to take this serious. And that really shifted just my way of like throwing myself into plays and more class with,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that definitely helped shape me and realize how much prep goes into this. And with GH, you know, you have to prep. You do. You have.
Gosh.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you show up and you don't know your lines, it's that nightmare dream, right? That you're on stage and you don't know your lines. And I want to play. I want to know, and I want it comfortable enough in my body that I can let it go. Yeah. And then let you know, Ken Schreiner, whoever is coming at you with the stuff that you're not expecting, let that stuff be what makes the scene wonderful, right?
Totally. And doesn't knock you off your like, yeah.
Yeah. And the only way to do that is to be as prepared as you are, right? I mean, that's where the prep is. Then you can be free. We always talk about it. If you're completely prepared, you're free. You know, because we sure enough have had days and jobs where like, oh, let's just get through this scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
But then you learn that that's not the best way to get a great performance or even a present performance. Let's know our stuff so well backward and forward, which is really the challenge, you know, if you're doing a big play, but also with daytime, because there was a time Bradford and I, when we first started working, it was 30 to 40 pages a day for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
You know what I mean? Where it was just nonstop. And we just you had to be a machine.
Yeah.
Or you're done, or they're getting somebody else because
that's right.
You get thrown into the lion's den. And if you don't perform, you're out. Right. So it's just having that discipline and that preparedness, if that's a word, to give your best performance, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I just respect having had this time on GH. I respect soap opera actors, writers so much because you know, there could be a stigma about this genre. There
is.
Right. But
there is.
The work that's done there from people who put in the work, it is unbelievably dynamic and fun. And I have not gotten to do, I was on a series and did not get to do half of the things I get to do on GH and play. Right. And you know, I knew I had that in me as a performer, but the world doesn't see it till they see it. Right. So even when I was on that show, they were like, I knew they couldn't find what to do with me. And I was like, it's because you're not writing it, you know, like you're having to do the same thing week after week, but on the soap, you get to play a million different, scenarios, emotion layers. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right, Adam, though, that there is a stigma. There was like, when I first started auditioning in the late 80s, I was like, I'm not auditioning for a soap opera.
Yeah.
Right. Because of the stigma of it.
Right. Yeah.
And then finally, thank God I did audition for General Hospital. But I think it's less now than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, but
a job is a job nowadays, kind of. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, when I got one of my first big films, it was The Last Castle with Robert Redford and James Gandolfini.
Oh man, great movie.
And Mark Ruffalo. But Redford was like, I don't even know how you guys do it. Mm. Like, I can't even comprehend how you can do 90 pages a day or 100 pages a day. I can't even comprehend it. And that was really and he goes, that's amazing. You do that. So people do respect it within our community.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, but it's the outside sometimes that doesn't give you the producers or directors or whatever executives don't give you the respect, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're doing a certain number of pages a day, you know, they don't get that like, oh, this is and when you put the work in, no matter what, you're getting you're finding layers. Your instincts are on fire. That's what I've loved from this job, is how
Yes.
much my instincts are right there. You know, I'm doing
Yeah.
this indie film in between, like, you know, when I'm shooting, and it's to access the tears and all the stuff like that, because I've been doing it
Yeah.
almost weekly. It's such a gift, man. It really is.
What it's yeah, it's like your tools are so sharpened, you
That's right.
know,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
really, really great, really fun.
So after Binghamton, did you go into the city? Did you go west? What'd you do?
Yeah, you know, I did go to the city. I started bouncing around New York, and you know, I loved it, but I also kept feeling the pull to here. Just always wanted
Because
to
of the
again.
work that was out here, or because you were cold?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
It was pouring rain. I'm like walking through the city, and I was like, do I really want to be here? You know,
Sure.
I have a different respect for the city now, but I was just like, I don't know if I
Sure.
want to be here. I think I want to do this
Well, and it was also
in LA.
like growing up in Long Island, like you had a
Yeah.
relationship to the city. I mean, granted,
But-
it's not exactly where you grew up, but it's still familiar.
Did you
Yeah.
go growing up? I'm just curious. Did you go to the city a lot when you grew up out there?
You know what? I didn't, because my parents were like afraid of it. You know, there was always
Ah,
that.
yeah.
I went with school. I went to play, you know, certain plays and things. And I went with I started going probably more in college, you know, when I'd
Yeah.
come home from
Yeah.
college for the summer and going to see plays and all that. And I met a great theater mentor there. It was great. But I always felt the pull to come here. Yeah, for the sunshine, but also just everything I loved was pretty much was shooting here.
sure.
And a
Sure.
friend of mine, Colleen McGinnis, she's a big writer, showrunner now. She was writing out here, just starting out, and she said, "Come, stay with me." And I did, and I like got these acting workshop package that
Yeah.
my late grandma, who I love so much, believed in me so much, and she was like, "I believe in you. No matter what you need, I will help you get there. If you
Wow,
want to
that's
go."
awesome.
So she paid for my flight. She paid for the workshop. So when I took those workshops, I was very green. I mean, not, you
Sure.
know, you're
Right,
new
of
and you're
course.
finding it, but everyone there was like, you need to move here. You need to move here. You need to move. I kept hearing that. So I went home and I said, I'm going to move to LA. And my parents were like, okay, I'll give them 6 months. And here I am,
Oh,
23 years later.
all
There
right.
you go. That's
All right.
awesome, man.
I did shoot Power New York. So it was fun to go back.
Sure.
Where did you shoot that? In the city?
Yeah. Yeah. Brooklyn.
Did
Oh,
they
cool.
did they
Studios.
relocate you, or were you
Yeah.
just jobbed in per episode?
No, they relocated me. I lived there for 3 years. Well, you know, back and forth. I lived there for 6 months, and then I'd come back here, and then 6 months I'd
Sure.
come back. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very interesting experience during the
Sure.
coldest months of the year and the
Yeah,
coldest
of
winters
course.
we've had in a long time. So it
Right.
was like I did all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, why? Do I want to be on this show?
Yeah, gosh. Well, but it's
Oh.
interesting, like what you said. It sounded like it was really. I mean, obviously, you book a series, like, oh my god, I booked a series, but then you weren't working as much as you wanted necessarily. You
Yeah.
didn't feel like you were really connecting to whatever they were trying to get out of you, right? Like that's
Yeah,
an interesting experience. It's not always not
No.
always a slam dunk when you book a series, right?
It isn't, you know, and again, like I think the biggest thing about that show is now there's 5 spin-offs, right?
Sure.
And it ran for 6 years, but they were finding their
Sheesh.
legs. It was the first, yeah, but it was the first series for a lot of those people, the showrunner, the writers, the some of the actors, including me, but some of the like 4 main leads of the show. So I think there was just a lot of like, we don't know, like, what is this show? What are they doing? They didn't know what it was going to be. And a
Sure.
lot of the promises that were made about where characters would go and arcs really just didn't happen. I think it was just the natural way of how the show started going.
Do you think,
course.
looking back, I like, it's obviously, you know, hindsight's 2020, but like,
Yeah.
would you have done things differently? Would you have tried to assert more of your own will in there? Could you
That's a
have?
great question. I think every job I learned something on,
Of course,
every
yeah.
single one, every rejection I learned something. I try to really, after I'm down in the dumps, I try to take like, what was the lesson there, you know? And I know with that show, it was my first. So like everything I did to get that show, you know, embracing who I am, accepting myself for all of who I am, you know, you got to do all that to get this, and then honing my skill as an actor and all that, and work, you know, coming here and auditioning and not being scared in the rooms, all that stuff that got me that show. When I got on that set, I think I let it all go. It was like, oh, please, I hope they like me. I hope they, you let go of all that. And
Sure.
then I was like, I hope the show goes another season. I hope they stick with my character. I just became concerned with the wrong things.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
and I was
It's
like stuck in this control mode.
Or
And I feel
you were led by it was fear based then because
It
it
was
was
a
like,
lot of
well, I
fear.
have it, I don't want to lose it.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, man, because I was just talking to somebody about this earlier today about how actors are such people pleasers,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And because we're always looking for approval from a casting director, a producer, or a director, so it's kind of hard to fight that because I was a complete people pleaser growing up just because of my environment and how I was raised and all that stuff.
Same.
But then I go into acting where
Yeah.
then now you're a double extra people pleaser,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Afraid to lose a job or afraid to do
Yeah.
something wrong. Or it's just an interesting, it's just an interesting mindset because a lot of actors have that mindset still.
Sure.
Right. You sound like you don't, right? You learn from your mistakes and hey, this is who I am and I'm confident in my abilities. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to deliver. But there's still
Yeah.
people who are like, please just, I wish I had one more episode. Why don't they like me so much?
Well, it's
Yep.
You know what I
it's
mean?
interesting. It didn't occur to me till just now. I started as a recurring character, and it was like you'll be here for like 2 months, and
Yeah.
so there was a definite end. And I didn't know it well enough that if you do a good job, sometimes things change in daytime. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just came in like going for it all because it was a kind of a crazy character, and I didn't want to hold back. And I wasn't scared of losing it because I knew it was temporary. So had I
That's pretty
known,
cool.
had I been brought on as someone that was supposed to be there for a while, I'm not sure if I would have been as brave.
But Brad, you
Right.
were coming off a string of working also. So your confidence was
My confidence was super high for sure.
super high, right?
But it just never occurred to me that might have been a factor of not being like, because I think about the situation you're in, and like the last guy just got that something went wrong. Or I don't know exactly what happened with the last guy,
Yeah.
but like
Mhm.
you're filling in something that changed. And I imagine you're like, I want to do this right. I like, do you know what I'm saying? Or like, so like, how
Yeah.
do you stay brave in the moment now, I guess is maybe an interesting question.
No, that's a great question, and everything you guys are saying is 100% spot on, obviously. And I'm learning, right? I'm always learning. I'm not just learned and done. I'm learning
yeah,
that,
of course.
yeah, like I'm learning that opposite of being a people pleaser. You could be kind because I really believe in kindness. I
Sure.
love that,
Yeah,
to
for
be kind to
sure.
people. And if
Yeah.
when I've gotten a lot of kindness on GH, if someone comes on, these actors
Sure.
are very giving. And this business isn't always like that, right? So I believe in kindness, but you could be kind without being a doormat, right? Without
for
For
sure.
just
sure. Yeah,
being a yes man. You could say no, and that's
totally.
okay. And
Yeah.
again, in a business that is kind of fueled by fear, because even like we're afraid to say such and such, it's like that. I don't want to walk in clenched up like that. No, that's
Yeah.
death for me. So I think the gift I got with the coming in and doing the last arc of Nikolas Cassadine's story in 2022, I had no time to be scared or nervous. It was like I just had to come in and do this 10 episode thing. And kind of like you
Sure.
said, it was just like I knew that I filled in, but I don't think they were going to go with me because I think they were going to get rid of the character. So it was just like I got to get rid of that story
Interesting.
and that
Sure.
ego part of me and just come in and do the work. And I think that freedom,
Yeah.
in that pressure cooker and just knowing my stuff. I prepped hard, by the way, locked myself away for 3 days that I had and learned
Sure.
150 pages. And then I think that freedom of just like,
Mm.
again, that fear being gone. And so then when they did call me back to come back in, guess what? That fear was back. Like, okay, now am I still proving myself? Because
Oh.
I'm not
Right.
fully
Of course.
signed on here. So I had to battle that away again. And it was like,
Sure.
oh, there you are, old friend.
Right. Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but it's interesting what you said though, Adam. It's doing the work, right? That action is the counter attack to those feelings, right? Like we take that action and you lock yourself away, you doing the work. Of course you're going to feel good about yourself, and
Yeah.
you're ready to go. And that's going to subside some of those feelings just
Yeah.
naturally by putting in that work. So
Yeah.
it's always go
And
back to do the work, right? Let's
and
just
you
get to work
reminded
and do it. Yeah, go ahead.
and you're reminded you have the training, like, because of that imposter syndrome or whatever else, the fear thing that can come up, you forget all the training. I'm like, wait a minute, I've been doing this since the New York day. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm not a newbie just because I feel the nerves and I'm scared and this is all new and I'm working with these legends in every scene. Jeannie Francis, oh my God, now I'm jumping to Maura West, now I'm jumping. Like, I know what I'm doing. So that helped, Now the other flip side of that is then, so like you guys discussed on here, soap fans are so loyal, but they're also very loyal to who is in that role.
Right.
Sure.
So
changes are hard. It takes them a while to get used to changes.
Yes. And I respect it because of that love of the pop culture again. Like, because of my love for those shows and knowing when they switch someone on me, I was like, no, come on.
Yeah.
So it was interesting
Totally.
to know that it was a very polarizing reaction to me. Like, I knew there was a call for it. They were excited, but there was this other voice.
Sure,
I knew. I saw it. I looked one eye at Twitter. Sometimes I was like, nope, okay.
Yep. That's the right reaction to shut it off.
Yeah. Just go. Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's so hard. It's so hard not to look.
But I think what that made me do was also is go, okay, so now I got the work. I did what Mark said, to come in with your own take on it. And I actually heard you guys discussing this with Kate, and that is true. You got to bring you to any role. We know that as actors.
Right.
But there is a backstory here. There is. I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm sure you do it because you're both so good. That I write backstories for all my characters. I know who they are. I have those things filled in, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got YouTube. Like, I can put this on, and 100%. I can see a great actor, and they're all great actors who played Nikolas, but Tyler Christopher really. I mean, he originated the character, so that
he created the character. Yeah.
Yes, and people love that version of Nikolas. That is Nikolas, and the vulnerability he brought to him was huge, because you saw his heart, and when you see someone's heart, you go, I'm in, I'm all in.
Right.
And I think when you read the role of it, especially Nikolas Cassadine, a dark prince, manipulative, and a lot of those scenes were I had a girl locked in a tower, you could really lean it one way. So watching those scenes really informed me of like, this is also Nikolas. I got to remember this. I got to bring this. And I bring that into my work anyway. That is, I love vulnerability. It's such in life as well. But I think, but again, like, to bring that into Nikolas, and then the writers took that cue and they started writing Nikolas towards a redemption. It felt like now the viewers are really responding, and it has been very cool the last couple weeks with some of the material I've gotten to play with the actors I've gotten to play with.
I saw some of the stuff on Instagram, and just not even hearing it, Adam, I could say, and I think why the fans are coming this way is because you could tell somebody's if they're truly vulnerable. Right. There's no better connection. And there's nothing more powerful when you see somebody's true vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that, it makes me even tear up, because it's an amazing thing to be that raw, because there's still people who can cry and do all the tricks and freaking bells and whistles. But when you're looking in somebody's soul who's pained, you automatically, if you're a human being, you're like, gosh, dang, man, this guy's laying it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So good job. Well done. I mean,
hey, thank you, man. From you, that's such a compliment. And I totally agree with that statement. And even like, awesome. Just talking to you two, I didn't know what this is going to be like. You guys are, to me, soap opera icons. And so to talk to you guys and connect just as humans, that's the key, And as soon as we drop down at that place and get out of here, in the work and life, all of a sudden, boom, it starts.
Yeah.
So hearing you talking about, being prepared is what helps you in these scenes. You did a scene with a baby last week, and Steve has a very famous scene with a baby that made it to Dick Clark's bloopers.
What?
Yeah. So what are the challenges of working with a baby, and is preparation the thing that saves you?
I want to see that. Yeah. Oh man, of course. They say, right? Don't work with children.
Babies or kids.
Pets.
Yeah,
which I love both. I love both, So I'm always like, what's the big deal? But I've done jobs where the kid was a little, maybe made it a little more difficult. But these kids, Joey and Jay Clay, they're twins that play the role. They're phenomenal. They really are. I mean, people say it all over Twitter. They deserve daytime Emmys.
How old are they? Do you know?
Yeah. How old are these kids? That's what I want to know.
I think they're one-ish.
Baby age guessing is hard.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I feel so bad. I don't know. It's like a 1.5. So they got to be.
They're still gauging it in months. They're not like they're like 16 months, 12 months, 14 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I know, like they're. I don't. They're just starting to walk. I think. Okay. I don't want to make that assumption, but yeah. I mean, it was when they handed me the baby, with the pressures of now coming in and doing these scenes, and because I'm popping in still, there always is that initial like, oh, it's my first scene after a couple weeks. They had me the baby, and it was definitely a different thing. Like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I'm holding it. It just threw me a bit.
Well, because the multitasking is off the chart.
Dude, it's out of control.
Yeah. But that kid gave me such a gift. He really gave me gold because of that unpredictability we talked about. There was the scene where finally I say to Spencer, my son, can I hold him? But the scene had a lot of pages before I say, can I hold him? And as soon as Spencer brought him out, the baby immediately went and like wanted to come to me.
Oh,
that's
so
amazing.
That's really cool.
So he gave him to me, and because we were in the moment, and we just went and we ad-libbed some stuff, and then we switched around, and it was really sincere, and the baby coming to me touched me.
Sure.
And then so that baby gave me gold because people keep talking about that moment. And not to toot my own horn, it's the baby that gave me that gift. It was that natural. They were like, that moment, oh my God, he must have known that baby. The baby must be his. No, I met that baby right there.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
I got to give it to Joey Clay. He's really good news here.
Joey Clay sounds like he's from your neighborhood.
Joey Clay. I think they might be, because I think that's why he was really familiar with me, because I met his mom and dad, who are super cool, and like his dad, kind of handsome guy, looks like Mark Wahlberg a little bit, but I feel like something about him was like East Coast feeling, and
that's funny.
I think Joey thinks that you're his father up on stage, because he kept smiling at me and looking at me, and like, all right,
that's awesome.
That works.
Amazing. Well, man, it's so great to get to know you. Congrats on the great
Adam,
work.
this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
And hope to run into you on set someday, because now we're all in GH now.
We're coming back. Well, I'm coming back. You guys are already there, so I'll be back soon.
Oh, you're already there, Bradford.
Brad's
I'm
there.
I'm trying. My next day is this Friday, so I don't know if you're around on Friday. I'm doing a bunch of episodes on Friday, so but
congrats. I love that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool,
so
man.
And welcome back to you too. I think it's so smart that they brought you back, and it's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And a shout out, by the way, just real quick, to the whole crew there, because they're everyone from makeup, hair, camera. They're producers, of course, but they're just so supportive and loving. The camera people, especially, like to have them behind you going like, that means a lot. They've been there. They work crazy hours, and when they're supporting you and going like, man, that means a lot.
Isn't there like there's such levels to the game, right? Like, if you're coming on somewhere and you don't really know anybody, but the amount of being so comfortable because the people support you is a different level. Yeah. I feel like it's a different place you can get to performance-wise. Look, we should always be able to get to where we want to get to.
Sure.
All those things, right? But having that support from the crew, all the way from, like you said, makeup and hair, then we go up on set, the camera people are on your side. They're always trying to make you look the best you can look. And then when they go, man, that was a great scene, you did something.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. And like you said, you should have that anyway, but why not be supportive? Because then we can all flourish, right? We're not feeling this. We're nervous anyway coming in.
Yeah.
And you see, even Jeannie, you see her take a breath before scenes. So to have that love coming at you and you feel that love, it's priceless. So
I mean, it goes back. We'll wrap it up with. It goes back to what you said about just being kind.
Yes, sir.
Right? It really goes so far. It really makes a difference in everybody's life. Just to show kindness like that is amazing.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
So, all right, man.
Awesome,
well,
guys.
thanks for joining us.
You, man. That's awesome.
Glad.
My pleasure.
glad people are enjoying what you're doing because it's great stuff, man.
It means a
Really
lot,
great.
guys. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
All right, we'll see
What
you.
a joy.
Brother.